Hi everyone, welcome to session 6 of Becoming a People Who. In today's world, it might seem easier, more convenient, and less costly to choose to do life on your own. But the reality is, life is meant to be lived together, in partnership with one another, and in pursuit of Jesus together. And here's the good news. With God, His Spirit, and His people, you and I have unlimited support. Support means to bear the weight of something or someone, keep something or someone upright, to hold up. Looking across Scripture, there are endless examples that teach us about this kind of great support. The story of the Good Samaritan, for instance, bearing the weight of someone who had been beaten and abandoned by the side of the road, defines how we know and use the word neighbor to this day. There's a story in the Old Testament about Moses' arms actually being held up by Aaron and Hur during battle, an image of what partnership that endures looks like. And then there's Paul, who not only supports the early followers of Jesus, writing to different churches with words of encouragement and correction, but also has great support from these same people he speaks to, with, and for. And of course, there's Jesus, who bore the weight of all humanity, continues to keep those who love and follow him upright, and holds up with his steadfast love. Have you noticed a pattern yet? Support is not only all across Scripture, but biblical support impacts us to this day. And there's a real invitation to become a people of great, radical support with life-changing impact as we become more and more like Jesus. When it comes to groups of people going with, who discover, do, and share what God says, there are 3 helpful ways to think of when it comes to support. First, relational partners. By now, you may be familiar with your relational networks, or faces and places, the people you see and the places you go. As you discover, do, and share what God says by showing up with God's Spirit alive in you wherever you go, who can support you by going with you? For example, let's say your faces and places are a team of awesome baristas at a coffee shop. Who do you know that loves coffee and Jesus as much as you? Is that person or people in your group? Partner together and find ways to intentionally bring life to all the places you go and people you see. Second, prayer teams. Praying continually is a way to keep the conversation with God and others going. And all great relationships keep the conversation going. Who do you have that is praying with and for you? These are called prayer teams. It's an incredible way to partner together in prayer, support one another with encouragement along the way, and celebrate the ways God is moving in, through, and around you. Third, God's people. So take a moment to look around. You're probably watching this at a table or in a room of people you have walked with for at least a few weeks now. And you're probably familiar with I will statements, the do and share part of a Discover Bible study. These statements, you might have noticed, are always about taking a step in relationship towards Jesus and his people. Like maybe your I will statement out of DBS is to set a rhythm of prayer to spend time with God, or to share the DBS story in a relational way with someone in your life walking through a similar story who needs some hope. Either way, sharing and committing to these I will statements in your group is the perfect opportunity to keep practicing support in tangible ways, to follow up with curiosity throughout the week, to encourage one another when it seems hard, like in those prayer teams we were just talking about, and to celebrate the fun stories that come out of following through with an I will statement. But we also want to always be thinking about the people around us. Finding support with God's people is also about becoming that kind of support for someone else. Look across your life, your neighbors, your coworkers, your baristas. Who needs to be invited, or who do you need to start a group like this with? And remember, the local church like Canyon Ridge wants to support you. If you haven't already, or if you have people you want to start walking in Jesus' direction with, Discover Canyon Ridge is a 2-week class that will equip and train you in what it means to be a disciple who makes disciples who makes disciples. Remember, we always want to be sharing and handing off what we've been handed, multiplying the good of God to the people around us and beyond. Discover is also a great place to meet people and a place where friendships and groups have emerged from. You can sign up at canyonridge.org/discover. As you head into your group time, remember the 3 P's of support: relational partners, prayer teams, and God's people. Explore these questions. Who can support you by going with you? How are you inviting people across your life to support you by praying expectantly for and with you? And what are you learning about becoming a people who show up with great support in all directions and in all circumstances? Remember, as you become a person of support, and as we as followers of Jesus become a people who support one another really well, we only can because God's support has been, is, and will always be limitless. I am so expectant and hopeful for the stories of God's people showing up with support to emerge all across His church, this city, and beyond. Have a great session.